Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Neighborhood Best Practices Conference. I am Kim Douglas, your newly appointed director of this amazing team at the Department of Neighborhoods. Neighborhoods has been hosting this conference since 2010, and I can see the results of that work of community in this room today, and I'm so excited to stand here with you all and to get to know more about what you do and to share at our resource tables some of the resources that we have available for you to do your work. Today, I have the pleasure of guiding you through our morning agenda, which includes a welcome from our esteemed city attorney, a keynote from a local son of Columbus, and an award presentation from our mayor that is sure to encourage all of us to stay the course on the road of advocacy for all of the communities that have grown us and poured into us and that we have so much passion for. At this time, we're going to move right into our agenda. I'd like to invite our city attorney, Mr. Zach Klein, to greet you all.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here for another Neighborhoods Best Practices Conference. Thinking back that 2010 was the first year of these conferences, and linking that to the time that when I first joined City Council, which was 2011, and all of the work that we've done together, and I see so many new faces, which is great. I see so many familiar faces, which warms my heart, because over the years in my time as City Council, Council President, and then I'm, believe it or not, finishing up my second term as Columbus City Attorney, time flies, and the city has changed so much in the past 12, 13 years. And our rapid growth is only going to continue with the projects that are coming online and folks moving to our community. But as our city and our neighborhoods change, the base and the heart and the lifeblood of our neighborhoods are going to continue to remain the same, and that is everyone in this room. The folks that volunteer with their block watches, their civic associations, their area commissions, that stand together, that unite with their neighbors to make a difference. And so to have a platform with the Department of Neighborhoods under new leadership, which is exciting for the city of Columbus to partner with the lawyers on my team, the property action team, whom I know most of you deal with intimately for the nuisance abatement work in our communities, and how we can build those cases, shut down drug houses, bad businesses that are plaguing neighborhoods so that our communities can thrive, so our kids have an opportunity to play outside without fear of gun violence or next to a drug house or where gangs are living. But we do that all together. And I am so grateful for the work that each and every one of you do. Consider me a partner, a friend, an ally as we work together to continue to build this great city that we call home, Columbus, Ohio. I'm so thankful for all of your support over the years and the mission that we serve in the city attorney's office. I look forward to continuing that. So have a great day. Thank you. Turn it over back to Director Reynolds.
Thank you, City Attorney Klein, for those empowering words. And I take you up on that offer of partnership. You will definitely see me in your office. I am on day 6 of this big new job. And so my first week went, well, thank you. Yeah. My first week was amazing. I feel like either I didn't know enough to be scared, or this is exactly where I need to be, and it just feels so comfortable because this is the work that we're supposed to be doing at a time like this. And so at this point, we will move into our keynote speaker that we have for you today. Mr. Dante Woods Spikes is a beloved son of Columbus, a true foot soldier in the work of human connection, and a general in the world of storytelling. Mr. Woods Spikes has authored books, has given numerous speeches across the city, and we are extremely privileged by his attendance with us today. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Dante Woods Spikes to the stage.
Can y'all hear me? Y'all good? How y'all doing? Good. Everything. Let's see if we good. All right. Before I get started, I gotta do a little bit of shout outs. You feel me? My journey would not be where it is if it wasn't for some of the people that were in this room, and I'm so grateful for them to be here. My brother Michael Aaron, my brother Dante, Sharon Ware, Miss Felicia. Who else in the room? Like, I just keep seeing all these different faces, man. People from the city. Chet, I see you with who that? I'm blind. Who you pointing at? Columbus Foundation. Okay, oh, that's Kate. What's up? I didn't know you was here. Kate, like, it's so many people that are imperative to my journey, and there's so many things, Jasmine, but it's so many people that are imperative to your journey, and it is important to make sure that you provide credit and recognition, because we're all working as a collective community, and as a collective community, we can address and solve so many problems. So I could do shout outs all day, but I'm not here to do that. I'm here to give y'all a speech. So what I'm gonna talk about today is finding your voice in the community that you work in. And the two questions that I have for you is, what happens when someone finds their voice? And who do they share their newfound voice with? So finding your voice is already a challenge. I believe most of us have experiences that may come from childhood, or may come from experiences we've had with someone, relationships, jobs. We feel like we're struggling to find our voice and make sure that we matter and we have any say-so and people hear and see us. Sometimes we don't feel valued. And when it comes to community, sometimes there's things we want to do, but we don't know how to utilize our voices. So if you do find your voice, the next question is, who do you share your newfound voice with? Where do you go with it? What organizations do you connect with? Who are the people that you connect with? That's something that I think is a little bit more of a challenge than just finding your voice. And I think some people may be in a space where they know what they want to say, they have a good idea what they want to do, but they don't know where to put their voice. I'm going to share with you my journey of finding my voice after I lost it, and how I've been able to utilize it and work my way up into opportunities like this through the city of Columbus with just people from the community that I had no intention on being connected to on a deep level. But when you find people that listen to you, you find people that give you a voice and encourage you to use it, that's where you go. It doesn't matter if it's an organization, it doesn't matter if it's a person on the street, you go where people understand and hear you. So, don't start with the, stop. Don't start with that. This is Kid Dante. Kid Dante is fairly shy, quiet, but I was happy. I was a happy kid. I enjoyed cartoons. Ninja Turtles was my thing. But I was a little bit quiet and observant of everything around me. I love to learn, love to listen. I just enjoyed being a little kid. So I'm going to show you the teen picture of me. Can anybody guess what the teen picture might look like? Shout it out. Go ahead. What y'all think it looked like? Huh? I was a kid. Oh yeah. Oh, I heard someone say, "Ooh, look." So I promise you, this is my school ID. This was my school ID. This wasn't anything else. City of Columbus. So there were a lot of things that happened in between those time frames. I felt like in school, I've always been a vulnerable person. I've always loved to talk, and I always felt deeply. And as a kid, once I transitioned to becoming a teenager, there were so many experiences that I've had that hurt. Moments I felt like I wasn't listened to. Moments where I felt like I didn't matter. And in the process of becoming a teenager, I wasn't certain what I should do, and I decided to become quiet because it was my safety blanket. It kept me safe. I didn't have to have those moments where I felt like if I try to talk to someone or I do speak up and I'm not heard, I don't have to deal with the hurt. So if I just remained quiet and didn't speak up or say anything, I would be okay. And I knew if I made this face, people wouldn't talk to me. You feel me? So I believe everyone has a story about a teacher that done something or said something or gave them that motivation to become a little bit different as a person in general. So the teenage version of me met this woman named Miss Prince. So this is the face I walked around with, okay? And this is the face she walked around with. And what was interesting about her is I was not supposed to be in her classroom, but I liked the fact that her room was quiet. She wasn't supposed to work with me at all. I was like not supposed to be there at all, but she was kind enough to give me space in her room. What I learned to do with most people is to upset them and bother them first. That way they would no longer want to talk to me. That way I could guarantee that I would have a smooth transition into not being talked to. So I had this process where when I met a new teacher, I would purposely break the rules to try and upset them. So I had went to her classroom with my headphones playing extra loud. There's a no music policy, right? So I walk in with the music blasting and I'm waiting. I'm like, she's gonna say, cut the music off, cut the music off. She's gonna send me to the office. She's gonna say I'm a bad kid. She's gonna say something. She didn't do it. I would come into the room and sometimes I would say things I shouldn't say as a teenager inside of a school. And she would just ask me, well, Dante, are you okay? I'm like, what's wrong with you? Can you get mad at me, please? Like, kick me out. Send me to the principal's office. Write me up. Do something. That way I know I don't have to get close to you. You don't like me and I don't like you. Let's make sure that we don't connect on a deep level in any way, shape, or form. One day I got under her skin and she had said to me, Dante, you are one of the smartest kids I know. All you have to do is apply yourself. You can do anything and become anything you want to be in life. She said it in a more aggressive tone. In the moment, all I heard was the tone. I didn't hear what she said. So I left school for 2 days and I'm thinking like, yeah, my plan worked. She don't like me, right? While I was at home, I thought this is the first time in my life a teacher at the age of 20, because I graduated high school 2 years late. At the age 20, this is the first time an adult and an educator has said I was capable of doing something and said something positive to me. That was the first time I felt like my voice was relevant and it mattered. Not because somebody just wanted to hear me say something because it sounded good, but because they studied who I was and recognized that I mattered and they gave me that space to speak. So because of her, I thought to myself, being a student is actually fun and school is actually fun, and I think I can find a different way to utilize my voice outside of just being in high school. So Columbus State, this is Donald Ricker. So I came to Columbus State a long time ago. I don't remember. Came to Columbus State a long time ago, and he was one of the first classes I took. And when I walked into the classroom, he was sharing his story, and he shared how he was he worked inside of the court systems and he was a police officer. So when he started sharing that stuff, I said, wait a second. I don't know, bruh. Like, you might be a little bit different than I am, and I don't know if we're going to be able to connect on a deep level. So I resorted back to what I would do, and I would be completely silent, and I was trying to find a way to make him not want to talk to me so I wouldn't be bothered and I wouldn't have to deal with that heartbreak of meeting somebody and feeling like I didn't matter. In his class, he was a sociology teacher. And we went over all of the slides. We talked about everything that had to do with sociology. And there was one day where we're in class and we're going over the statistics of what a robber looks like. So the statistics says something about most robbers are under the age of 25, come from a neighborhood of poverty, and majority of them are black males. And I was the only black male in the room, right? So everybody in the room kind of like turned and just looked at me like, I'm like, dang, bro, this is crazy. After that day, I went up to Mr. Ricker and I said, you know what? I understand we're talking about statistics and we're talking about communities, but that's not necessarily true. I understand, but statistics are used to prove the point that you want to prove. It doesn't always showcase the humanity of the people that live in those neighborhoods. So we have to go deeper besides just throwing statistics on a screen and saying, this is the truth. So he listened to me. And the next time a situation like that came up, he had said in the middle of class, he stopped the class and he said, Dante, what do you think? How do you feel? What do you think about what is on the screen? So for some people, that would be uncomfortable. But for me, as a person that was finding my voice, that was something I needed. And I became very comfortable with speaking in front of people that did not look like me, didn't come from the same environment as me. And I understood that it was okay to be my honest, authentic self. So because of that moment, my voice elevated. I felt like my voice evolved a little bit. I gained some new skills and perspective about myself. And I said, you know what? I think I could actually use my voice for something else. I don't know what, but I'm gonna figure it out. So I liked him so much that I took like 10 of his classes, even though I didn't need to. I messed up my financial aid, and I owe money to this day because of that. But something that really was pivotal was when he took me to a church not too far from here called First English Lutheran Church. And they were working on a project called Project Safe Neighborhood. I was like, hey, it sounds like something I want to do. Let's go. So I got there, and the conversation we were having were about the church camera caught gunfire in the alley. And their goal was to let the people of community know that at this church, you have a safe place to be. Just because that happened, that doesn't necessarily mean this is exactly what our neighborhood is like. And we have to come together as a community to make sure that when things like this happen, everyone knows that's not who we are. So we were all sitting in a circle and we were discussing what can we do to make people feel comfortable. And I came up with the idea, well, most people have kids and there's lots of kids in this community. We should have something for the kids when we do a block party. We should have a bouncy house. We should have popsicles. Because if you get the kids, you get the parents. The kids, ooh, what's that? The kid gonna run over there, the parent, stop it. Stop touching, whatever it may be. But in that moment, most people, it's easy to walk past and not feel comfortable and trust that your voice, once again, will be heard. But usually through children, they're gonna make you talk somehow. And through the kids, I knew that was a way we could connect with our community when people found out that we had their kids in our best interest. And what was interesting about this moment too is this was the first time I sat in a room of organic, diverse people, and they all were looking at me, asking me questions on what I thought and what I felt. I don't know if anyone has ever been in a space where you're speaking and someone hears what you're saying, but they're not listening to what you're saying. This was the first time everyone is looking me directly in the eye, regardless of what I look like, regardless of how I'm dressed, regardless of where I came from, and they're intentionally waiting for me to say something else. It may sound simple, but that blew my mind that I'm in a space where people are listening. I never had this before like this. So we came up with the idea, well, the pastor came up with the idea to walk around the neighborhood. When he said, we should walk around the neighborhood and pass out some cold soda to people. And in my head, I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Because we're in a neighborhood where people may not necessarily feel comfortable with us approaching them if they don't know us. So the last thing I want to do is walk up to somebody and start talking about, here's something to drink. Like, bro, get out my face. So we actually did it, and they called the news as well. So the news, it came to document this. So I don't have the video, but the video is there. So the story I'm about to tell is true. So the news is following us around. And I'm like, they really about to record us passing out drinks to people. This is wild, bro. So we're walking around the neighborhood, and in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm comfortable here. I don't know if I trust anybody here. I don't know them. And the thing is, in neighborhoods where you're not a person that lives there, you stay away. You do not talk to people. That's just the rules, and that's the conditioning behind how I grew up. So as we're walking around, the pastor walks up to a group of men, and he hands them a cold soda. And I'm just looking, and I'm like, wait a second. This pastor just did something that I've never seen anyone do before. He actually extended himself to people in the neighborhood where everyone ignores them. This is him giving them a chance to utilize their voice. And I also had to check myself because the same people he reached out to were people that looked just like me. They were literally a reflection of who I was, and my thought was, we should not talk to those people. So this is another moment where I feel like I'm evolving and growing and understanding the power of the voice. So the news is interesting because they usually tell a story and they try to add like a little extra to it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Our goal was to showcase that we're connected to the community and we want people to come to the church. The news's goal was to showcase a story where we are struggling community members and we're fighting off crime in the neighborhood. So the things that they recorded and the way they put the story together was, we're walking the neighborhood and they also recorded people from the neighborhood. And they showcased them in the alley, walking away as they were talking about the crime in the neighborhood. And these were the boys that once again looked just like me. So our purpose for inviting people was to come to the Thursday dinner. I get to the church, I walk downstairs, and it's a man that's like 6'30". And he's just like standing there, right? Looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know this man. I do not know this man. And he's like, are you Dante? And I'm like, I don't know. Am I? But I said, yes, I'm Dante. This man, he leans over and he gives me like this big bear hug. And he says, Dante, I appreciate what you're doing in the community. I know how the news work. I see the work that y'all doing. I love what you're doing. Let me know if you need any help. And another group of men that came over to me and said, Dante, if you need help, let us know. We got your back. And in that moment, I thought, I think I can give the men in this neighborhood a voice, and also the young boys that I myself had my biases about, even though they were just like me. So that's when I started the teens group at First English Lutheran Church on Main and 22nd. There was one young man in particular that was considered to be someone that found his way through the streets, everything bad that could happen. He was one of the kids that the boys looked up to. There was a week where he didn't come, which was normal because the program was not for the kids to feel like they're forced to come, just to know that they have a safe space. So if one kid was missing for 1 week, that was normal. He was missing for 2 weeks. I still didn't think anything of it, but after 3 weeks, I started to wonder, where is Mimi at? And his name was Mimi. I went home, I cut the news on, and I saw his name go across the screen to find out that his life was taken by someone close to him. And in this moment, I broke down and I felt like a hypocrite because my goal was to make sure that the young men in the neighborhood knew that they had a voice, knew that they were heard, knew that they were seen, and didn't have to live a stereotypical lifestyle because of how people perceive them. But if I'm here speaking all of these positive things to you and I can't keep your peer alive, who am I to stand in front of you and say those things? If your life is not guaranteed, I don't know what I can say to you to try and make you feel better and understand that life could be different. So I resorted back to not speaking for a while. But after about a few weeks, I came back to the church. I told the pastor, you know what, pastor? I think I want to get a camera. I don't know how to use a camera, but I think I want to get a camera because even though one young man is gone, there's about 20 other young men with stories to tell. And when it comes to the voice, I want to make sure that their voices are heard. So what I began to do was create short video documentaries. I didn't know how to use the camera. I just know you press start, it record, you press it again, and stop. That's it. But this opened up a new world for me where I began doing camera work. So there's some people in this room that met me as a videographer and photographer. This is the very, very beginning of it and how it started. And while doing that, unexpectedly, people were watching and paying attention. But before then, I thought to myself, with this newfound skill, I think I have a new way of utilizing my voice and showcasing other people's voices. So I was still going to Columbus State at the time. If you look to the left, this is a book that I had wrote, and there's a woman standing next to me. So this is the president of Columbus State's wife, Tracy Harrison. She was volunteering at the same church as me. So she saw every single thing that I was doing. And once again, I didn't know who she was at the time. But she had reached out to me and said, Dante, the work that you're doing is beautiful. It needs to be showcased. I think you would be good to give a TEDx speech. Who knows what TEDx is? Or a TED Talk? So I didn't know what it was at this time. I'm like, who is TED? Cause I ain't never been on no stage and spoken in front of people. I've spoken, but I don't know how to get on stage and talk. She sat me down and she showed me the different videos of the speakers, and immediately I'm looking at everyone that's on stage and I'm like, I don't know. I think I look a little bit different. You know, everybody's well polished and they got all the accolades and they're famous. People related to King Tut, then went to the moon and came back, can talk to animals. I'm like, I'm just a normal dude. What I'm gonna say? But she assured me, Dante, you have a voice. Use it. Don't think about that. Just use your voice. That's enough. So I sat down with her. We went over the application process. So my first time not knowing what a TEDx talk was, I was selected to give a speech about the young men's group and to talk about the experiences that I had working with the church and the documentaries that I started. Afterwards, a lot of people began talking to me and asking me all of these different questions about my community and how they could help. So after that, I'm like, dang, I done made it to the TEDx stage. I'm showcasing videos. People are listening. All right, I think I could use my voice for something else. So my friend Malik Moore, somebody that watched my journey. Yes, Malik Moore. He invited me to what is called the Big Table. Is anyone familiar with the Big Table? So y'all seen those ads on my face where I'm talking? Yeah, I know y'all like, there you go, all that talking. But he introduced me to the Big Table. And what he did was he brought a group of people together that once again usually wouldn't sit together and talk to each other. And when I saw that, I said, wait a second, something about this is illegal. You can't do this. You got city council members, you got kids from the school, you got police officers, you got people in here that usually don't have that opportunity to sit down and speak. But what he did was show me that if I wanted to, I could do that as well. So after he showed me that I could do that, I challenged myself the next year to begin hosting big tables on my own. And unexpectedly, it worked. And I said, dang. Not only have I been able to find my voice, I've been able to work with people and help give them a voice and sit down and create those conversations where we all can talk and listen to each other. And once again now, and Kate, I didn't know she was going to be here. So I am the Big Table ambassador. I am the person that works with the Big Table and encourages people to sit down and talk to each other, to have those thought-provoking conversations that need to take place. And thank you. But my reason for telling you all of this is because I found out that my voice matters, and I want you to know that your voice matters too. As a person that doesn't necessarily have all the credentials behind my name, I'm not necessarily like the most well-known alumni. I don't have all of the connections in the world, but I found my community and I found people that listened to me, and that's where I stayed. And I want to encourage everyone to understand that curiosity must be stronger than the assumptions. Along the way, as much as I dislike assumptions people had about me, I also had assumptions about people, thinking they would never listen to me or talk to me or give me that space to be my normal self. So with understanding that we all have a voice, some of the things that are going on in Columbus and will be talked about today is the housing and development crisis that we're dealing with. You have landlords and you have slumlords. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the differences between the two and how to protect yourself and how to make sure that you can find housing in the housing crisis, and figuring out those next steps that we're going to take. Equitable transportation. I know most of us probably drive, but some people may take bikes, some people take the bus, some people might want to take a boat. If they want to take a boat, that's cool. But that's why it's important for us to talk about the different, the transitioning from the old way that we would transition from one space to another to the new way as Columbus is continuously growing. New Americans. Columbus is a very welcoming space and we have people from different countries. As a person that works with kids, I frequently see young kids working as voice interpreters for their parents. Something that is important is for us to make sure that we have interpreters, which is cool, but someone that is always ready and prepared to help our new Americans that are in the city of Columbus. We'll be talking about that a little bit. Safety of our young people. I recently lost a young person not too long ago that really encouraged me to be the person that I am today. And if I would do anything to bring them back, can't do it. But there's a sense of urgency when it comes to working with our young people. No one should blame anyone. We should all figure out what it is we need to do versus saying this person needs to do that, that person needs to do that. And general accessibility. We all need to be accessible, and we also need accessibility within this city. It could be education, it could be someone with a disability, it could be anything. But it's important for us to recognize that we have voices and we have to use them. And when we are in a session today and someone is speaking, or if you're sitting next to someone, give them the opportunity to get to know you and make sure that you are actively listening to whatever it is that they say. Because I was just a random person that was at school one day, and all of those moments where I utilized my voice or someone utilized their voice and spoke to me, it opened up a door that I did not anticipate would be open for me. So I'm hoping that today everyone understands and knows that they can utilize their voice, because you never know what could happen, and who knows, you might be the person to change Columbus altogether. You might be on stage with me speaking next time, or you might just find out that you have a voice that you could use. And if that's it, that's 100% okay. Thank you.
If you are not motivated after hearing his story, how he gained his voice, how he amplified his voice, how he then channeled it to allow others to use theirs, I'm not sure if you didn't get anything from there. I think we all did, because we're in this room, because that is exactly the journey that a number of us have had, even if we're not able to articulate it as well as Dante did. When I said that he was foot soldier in communication, I had no idea how true that was. I think he exemplified for us today how we all use our voice and how he was able to do his and how he started from a very organic way of using his experience to bring others to the fight of advocacy for whatever their passion was. I think that is a common thread throughout this room, that we use the resources that are in front of us, not only to encourage others, but sometimes to encourage ourselves to stay in this fight, to continue to push for the things that we have passion for. So thank you, Dante, for being here. I am definitely better for having shared this space with you and seeing your, witnessing your clear gifting for storytelling this morning. If you want to be a part of the ongoing conversation, he mentioned it quickly, but I am going to do a quick commercial for him too on the Big Table. If you want to be a part of the ongoing conversation, please take a look at the Big Table event, sponsored by the Columbus Foundation and taking place on September 25th at locations throughout the city and at a community near you. Okay, now we will move into the awards portion of our morning's agenda. We are pleased to have with us to present the Dan Charles Award, the 53rd mayor of our great city, Mayor Andrew Ginther. Mayor Ginther, would you join me?
Are you as excited as I am about Kim Douglas's leadership of the Department of Neighborhoods? I am just so excited. I just want to thank Deputy Director, Assistant Director Todd Diefendorfer for all of his great leadership and the ways that he has stepped up. But good morning, neighbors. It is great to be with you this morning. And as you all know, my top 3 priorities are neighborhoods, neighborhoods, neighborhoods. And so I'm thrilled to be with you here this morning to talk about the great work we've done together and all of the great work that we still have left to do. I'm excited that together, working together with the One Linden plan, we've already generated public and private partnerships into Linden over $180 million, and envision Hilltop well over $100 million in public and private investments, whether it's the Hilltop Early Learning Center or other critically important infrastructure on the Hilltop. And just met last weekend over in the Eastland area with some great dynamic community leaders who are leading the way on the Eastland Community Plan. And so grateful for all of their leadership and effort. Couldn't be more excited about the future of Eastland because of their leadership and their vision. So it's great to be with you today and so excited to be part of the critical conversations. But my main job here today is to recognize one of our great neighborhood and community leaders. We know that everything that we do must be done through a lens of equity, particularly as we continue to experience historic and unprecedented population growth. We don't just want to get bigger, we want to get better. And the way that we realize dynamic and inclusive growth is that we make sure that all the folks of this community that have made us so special throughout our history are part of the progress and the opportunity in the future. We want folks born and raised in Columbus to benefit as much from this growth as our neighbors that will join us over the next 30 years. But make no mistake about it, growth is happening. That is not up for discussion. It is not up for debate. It is coming. A wise woman once told me, people don't fear change, they fear loss. Change is coming. Growth is coming. It's incumbent upon us to embrace it and shape it around our values and through that lens of equity. And that's why I'm so excited to be with you here today and to celebrate one of our great leaders. We remain steadfast in our commitment to investing in our focus and resources in ways that ensure that every family in every neighborhood shares in our success. And I've been unapologetically talking about equity. Equality and equity are not the same things. And we believe that we need to invest and prioritize neighborhoods and neighbors that have been left out and left behind by Columbus's success story. That gets me in trouble in certain parts of the city, as you can imagine, maybe particularly in my neighborhood and other places that are doing pretty well. And that's okay, because I believe that the only way we realize our true potential as a community, as a region, is if everybody's sharing in our success. And sometimes that means making tough decisions. But I'm a big boy with broad shoulders, and my wife would say a thick head. So it's okay, because this is the way forward. This is the path forward. We want to be the most prosperous community in America. That can't happen if some people are doing exceptionally well and other folks are left out and left behind. And I think our leader that we're recognizing this morning is a great example of this. She is the pathway we must follow, and the example we honor and celebrate today with the Dan Charles Award. As I'm sure most of you know by now, this award dates back to the very first Best Practices Conference in 2010. I was only 6 at the time. It acknowledges the defining qualities of its inspiring namesake and engaged and passionate Columbus resident who brings about transformative change. And this year is my privilege to present the Dan Charles Award to Doreen Uhouse Sauer. So let me brag a little bit on Doreen as she gets ready to come up and accept this award. Doreen is something of a legend in this city, a resident of the University District since 1965. She's been a pillar in our schools for nearly as long, first as a teacher at Indianola, and then Fort Hays, where she had my younger sister, before serving the district as a leader of civics education. In fact, she was named Teacher of the Year in 2003. But her passion and activism extends beyond education and the classroom as well. Believe it or not, where does she find the time? I don't think she sleeps. Doreen is currently the chair of the University Area Commission. She's been actively involved with the University District organization, and she's served on numerous other community and city boards over the years. She's a trustee for the Green Lawn Cemetery. She co-created the library's neighborhood walking tours, and she's a renowned expert in local history and preservation. If you need to know anything about history or preservation in Columbus, call Doreen. She also is passionate and well-versed in European history and civics education. Every time I'm with Doreen, I learn something. And those are special people. No matter how many times you interact with them, you always learn something. We are immensely grateful for her vast and selfless contributions to this community, and it is our sincere honor to celebrate her here today. Doreen Uhouse Sauer, the award, the Dan Charles Award, in appreciation for your outstanding service to the city of Columbus. Let's recognize and celebrate Doreen. Oh, you want to take a picture?
We're taking pictures.
We'll do it after.
He makes up a lot of stuff. Have you noticed that? I suppose that's a quality of a good leader, is you kind of know when to fly and when you have to make it up a bit. Thank you. I am truly, truly humbled. I really am. I do have a few words I want to share, and I want to say that I'm sitting with people who inspire me. And each of them at this table have a special connection to me. I've invited, along with people from the Area Commission, obviously my husband, who is also my driver lately, who is a teacher that I met at Indianola Junior High, middle school, so many years ago. And so I was lucky. I got to marry my mentor. Indianola was a very special place because it was where CEA was really founded. So the Columbus Education Association was really born out of people like my husband and Mark Stewart and Jack Burgess and other people that were very inspiring to me. I always lived in the university neighborhood, primarily because I couldn't afford a car, and you start looking for jobs near you. And what I found was a group of people at Indianola who not only stood up for themselves and for teachers everywhere, but were always so respectful of students. They had great senses of humor. They took kids under their wing. They really made the neighborhood thrive. And the university area is remarkably, still holds its great diversity. We are intergenerationally, from young families, obviously, to very young students at Ohio State, to older people, to people who are aging in place. We have people who lived in the same house for 60 years and others who are just moved in next door. We're constantly changing. We are certainly very divided socially, economically, racially, but we work together. One thing about a university community is that you are never going to be the completely one-side sort of neighborhood near you on one side, or maybe even the other neighborhood on the other side. You will always be changing. So we value partnerships. And being able to be with other people like Pasquale Grado, who is well known in the city, am I right? Acknowledge the fact he's Commissioner Emeritus, I guess I will call him. We are the only people who probably 30 years ago started looking at change in the university area, which led to things like the changes in the zoning in Zone In. And we went looking on our own because the city did work with us and they appreciated what we did. We went looking in Ohio for a model that had never been challenged in the Ohio Supreme Court on how to actually make some agreements in place, which became the basis of the overlay, the zoning overlay that we still have in place, at least on High Street. And we determined early that in order to manage change, we needed to be able to direct where development went and direct where we would hope development would go and try to protect. We have the most historic districts and the most historic single nominations in any of the area commission that I know of in the city. Jeremy Gabbis, who is sitting next to Pasquale, technically represents Ohio State on our area commission, first vice president. Those partnerships with the big guys are always important. I used to sometimes kid, when you live in a place like a university area, this is true for all university area communities, you usually can be easily overrun by both the university and or, in some cases separately, a hospital system. So you kind of always learn to live with what I would used to call sleeping with the enemy. I mean, literally. And so you do start to look for the commonalities, and we are very much oriented to a carrot and stick kind of looking. For 3 years, we had absolute demolition moratorium in the University District. This is 30 years ago, while we sorted out all of the pieces and brought everybody together. And the very first meeting after probably the 14th round of demolition moratoriums with no progress is we sat at St. Stephen's Church in a great room and right on Woodruff and High and invited all of the developers in, some of which I could name for you, but I won't because they were often in the news a lot, we'll put it that way. And they were, and some have gone on to other things, developer heaven, I think. And we said, okay, we shut you down. Now, would you like to, can we open up again? Can you tell us what you want, and we'll tell you what we're thinking? And that was carrot and stick. It was the first time we actually had dialogue with each other, and I'm so appreciative of our guest speaker, our keynote speaker today, of all the things he was hitting, because those partnerships and that finding your voice on many levels is very, very important. So that takes me to the two other people sitting at our table today that I wanted. I'm so glad they're here, Gloria Long and Michael Aaron. I work at Rickenbacker Woods with them, and they are really my inspiration and my mentors in so many ways. I have never met such funny, creative, exciting people, And the secret I have noticed that unites Michael with my husband, who they get along very well, is that when you come up with a new idea, they may have heard it 352 times, just like a teacher does, all the time. You know, somebody comes and says, "Did you know that Andrew Jackson?" You go, "No, I didn't know that." You learn to practice that moment. But it's the enthusiasm of knowing that a student has made this connection for them, and you get excited for them. And these two go at it. You know, they do it very well together. But what you do is you grow, you co-learn. So this is the secret I'm going to tell you today that I've really never told anyone else about area commissions. So I live in the university area, went to school there, came from Bowling Green, couldn't take the flatland any longer, went for a city. I was out of Cleveland originally. Come on, give me a city. And I had to walk everywhere because I couldn't afford a car. Didn't bother with a driver's license till I was 36 because there was nothing to drive. And so you learn the bus system, you learn about different people, you learn about neighborhoods. And my entire life, I never knew that you could actually get to Northland from the university area by going by way of Driving Park. Literally, that was how the CODA route went. You know, you're just kind of everywhere around the city. So my knowledge of Columbus was really kind of limited to neighborhoods through the eyes of a bus. At Fort Hays, however, our closest neighbor was Milo Grogan. And one of the young people couldn't be with me today here is a teacher from there who's also an area commissioner. And he and I started an oral history project in Milo Grogan to really document their history and have really grown very close with that. I still work somewhat under the table at Fort Hays. So what happened was I'm going along in my usual way. Fort Hays opens. I decided to go there. And I started teaching and really fell in love with this very interdisciplinary arts background, history background, and really thriving all of this. And out of that, all of a sudden, I was doing work in Poland and Ukraine with both Ohio State and later with Bowling Green. And I still do civic education internationally, and you're meeting colleagues who are doing the same things in countries that have just been former Soviet republics. And the excitement just kind of builds. It's this idea of learning always being new and exciting. So I was a little surprised when I was approached by the Annenberg Foundation to be one of 3 sites that they wanted to look at for doing civic education. The easiest way to explain it is by saying that it was about teaching government without ever opening the government textbook. And I had already been active in a lot of U groups and the University District Organization, Community Association. I was involved in so many U groups that people looked at the word UHAS and they thought it stood for something. And it looks like a corruption of Upper Arlington High School spelled badly, you know, and people were trying to, what does UAH, what does that stand for? That's why I got married again and I couldn't take it anymore. But what happened was Annenberg was looking for a model that they could do in civic education, and they picked 3 sites: Columbus, Ohio, partly because of the John Glenn connection, and I was on an advisory board with that already. The idea of 11 counties in Virginia, and 1 of the boroughs of New York City. I had 2 other colleagues in 2 other places, and Annenberg came to the door and said, "You need to do this." And I said, "I don't want to leave the classroom. You need to do this, because if you don't, we will find another site." And what the teachers were going to get if they participated was an actual computer, a laptop. Remember the days when nobody trusted us with them? And they were actually going to get a laptop and $25,000 training on all of these projects. And so I agreed to do this and found that working with 18 high schools, and I was in charge of this, all of a sudden now it was on me to how to teach government without using the textbook. I have a political science history background. I taught government really only more on a junior high level than a high school level. But among the teachers, I fought for older teachers being part of it. They had already learned all the tricks of the trade. They knew how to discipline. They were beloved in their community. Some of them were coaches. Some of them just took kids under their wing. And the brand new teachers, because I knew that they would learn most from each other. But the piece that was missing that I want to share with you today that I never really shared was the area commissions, because I had been sitting at City Council on Monday nights grading papers. My best buddy in the world was Jim Johnson from Driving Park, who used to help me grade papers quietly under the table while we're listening to everything going on, and Carol Stewart from Franklinton and others. So I went to the people I knew. I went to Driving Park Commission with Jim and to Carol Stewart. Milo Grogan was another one. The Hilltop was another. And I asked them, I found 5 people, and asked them to meet with me and the teachers at the very first meeting at the basement of the Florentine restaurant. And we sat there with a panel, and the Annenberg people from Philadelphia are there. And we started a discussion, because if you want to know how to do government, you have to go to the area commissions. These are the people in the trenches who knew it all. They not only knew all the ways, seriously, and the government and Michael Coleman, others were so appreciative of the fact that it was really connecting, because what happened was students, teachers became co-learners and not embarrassed by that. You don't have to say, I want to ask you, how many of you would really, if I asked you to come up, explain how a bill becomes a law, how many of you would like to try to do that one? Thank you. I rest my case. No one can do that. It's like a bad cartoon, you know? And so and we know that especially now. So the fact that the teachers were learning from the community, and the community who knew it all were really sharing what they were learning, and it was important, led to a very successful program. How successful? After 1 year, the director of the program left the program because they only had one site left, us, and I became the director. And it came, and they funded us for the next 3 years in Columbus when they cut the other 2 off the table and said, it's not working there. It's working here in Columbus. And they were with us every month. I saw them. They were so happy that they invited a group of kids from Columbus schools, and each of the 18 schools, sometimes we had 2 teachers teaching government, so we had more than 18 teachers involved in it. They actually were inviting us to come with a group of students. And at the time, the teacher of one of the groups of students who were very active was very, she's on maternity leave and definitely heading out the door very soon. And so my husband and I wound up driving. Everybody else flew. We had a car full of costumes, of course, because Doreen doesn't do anything unless she can wear, a powdered wig. And we met with them at the Mayflower Hotel. Everything was taken care of. The students met in our room. We went over things. They were going to make a presentation to all of Annenberg. They wowed Annenberg, completely wowed them. And that's when I will never forget the moment. I am heading up an escalator in the hotel, and Annenberg groupies are heading down, and they're going, call us, we're going to fund you. And it's like, okay. The group of students turned out to be Shannon Hardin and his fellow students from CAUSE. My message here is, when you bring students in as constituents, I think programs where there are leadership opportunities are so important. What I do think might be a very strong model to think about would be with Columbus schools go back. Now, I realize funding is gone with Annenberg. Maybe not, who knows? And what students need to learn to do is to build constituencies themselves. And the first things that I did with them, and with their teachers also, was to say, don't ever call yourself a student group. You're a citizen. You can be citizens for this, you can be citizens for that, whatever it is. You do not have to emphasize your youth aspect. You take it on. You take it on now. Secondly, you don't go to city council with boards that look like they're from science fair projects. You go with business cards, and everybody got business cards. The teachers themselves would look at their business cards. They'd never had them before. You present yourself, and we would go to city council, and we would watch the dynamics. And when I had those Saturday, or those actual, I want to say during the week, sometimes professional development days, with teachers, we would start with breakfast somewhere, and we had a whole day plan. But I would make breakfast at the Claremont, where every politician used to meet. Those of you who know are of my age group who remember that was the place that you showed up. You didn't ever have to say anything because you could hear everybody's conversation and you knew what was going on when the mayor came in or the council people came in or whatnot, or people just had informal meetings. And that's how you learn. You have to learn how to network, and you have to learn to trust people, and you have to learn to be to find some commonalities with him. One of our most cantankerous developers and I, who at one point had 11 suits of lawsuits against him for unexpected fires in the university area that only ever happened during break, but he collected insurance on it. We finally, after 20 years, bonded over the fact we both love historic maps. And he got really into the history of the university area for the first time by looking at plat maps and things of where he owned things. You look for the commonalities. So I didn't mean to be a second keynote speaker, but I thought I would just share with you that one last little piece, that it really was you as area commissioners who made the difference for a whole generation of teachers and a whole generation of young people who are out there now leading our city. And if I get this award, it's not me, it's you. And I really want to thank you, and I want to thank Michael, Aaron, and Gloria for being my inspiration, and my husband and my colleagues on the University Area Commission, and the city that will listen to where we go next with Zone In. So thank you.
A testament to all the work that she does, right? Thank you, Mayor Ginther, for being here with us today and for presenting the award, such a deserving award, to Mrs. Yuha Sauer. I'm watching now, and she had no idea. She is like, oh my goodness. Thank you for being here with us. We are so fortunate to have you receiving this well-deserved award and receiving your flowers while you're still here to enjoy them. Before we all leave the room, could I have the staff of the Department of Neighborhoods to just stand for me really quickly so that you can be recognized for all the hard work that you did in putting this together? David Huey and Rebecca Deeds. I see David, I do not see Rebecca in the room. I see them both in the back waving. They took on this task. They were voluntold to do this task. And I, as a first-time director coming in on the first 5 days, thank you for the care that you took in getting this together. Thank you for the work that you did. Thank you for the prep that you did for me. It is appreciated. Thank you for joining us today.